Hey everybody, this is Matt Seifert with Muskie Mercenary Guide Service. I'm up at Muskie Mayhem Tackle this weekend. We got a lot of feedback on the Backlash podcast on the last video we did on rigging a mega imaging transducer to a fiberglass boat. So my buddy brought his boat up this weekend and we're going to show you guys how to rig it on an aluminum boat. Just a quick tidbit here on height for your transducers. And this goes for any boat, whether it's aluminum or fiberglass. But you can see here, if it's too low, our water is going to be pushing along that hull. And if your transducer is too low, the water is going to hit the front of the transducer, give you a rooster tail when you're on plane, and it will create turbulence at the front. Therefore, you'll have a bubble trail underneath, and you won't get that crystal clear picture on your side imaging. And here's another picture of it being too high. We get that water coming along the hull like this. Transducer's too high. As soon as you're on plane, you get zero reading. That will be out of the water completely. I don't see this as often as I see this. This is very common. So here we have perfect. This is what we're looking for, whether it's aluminum or fiberglass. We have the water pushing along the hull there. It's going to hit just the front of that transducer, the bottom side of it. We'll tilt that transducer down just a little bit to keep a nice even pressure on the water. And you won't get a rooster tail, and you'll get a perfect reading on your side imaging. With aluminum boats, they come with these blocks from the factory, the mounting blocks, and you don't necessarily need to use them. There's 2 holes in the hull. Don't be afraid to drill more holes. You can actually pull these out, silicone if you want. Here's a flat spot of the boat. It's a lot easier to rig it on a flat spot, but if you have to pick one side or the other, if you like to fish more off the left side of the boat, which most muskie fishermen fish off the left side of the boat, and the owner of this boat, Ben, does fish off the left side of the boat. So we're gonna go ahead and use the block because he turned the motor for us. And where we wanted to put it, it's actually gonna hit. And we have the motor trimmed down all the way right now. So make sure you trim your motor down all the way when you're checking your clearances. Another thing to look for. So we know we can't put it here. We're gonna put it here. We gotta watch the chines. Aluminum boats, you have chines or rivets. Some boats don't have chines. This one has a center chine, so we just need to watch the rivet lines. I'll give you guys a close-up of that in a minute when we're under here mounting it. We're gonna throw this transducer right there. You can see the line of rivets here on each side of it, and I'll get it about centered in there. And this is that line we're looking for here too. And I don't worry too much about the boat being level. I just use my eye. That's not as important as this parallel line coming through here. And as you can see, Humminbird has slots in their bracket here, so we can move this up or down accordingly. So I'll drill holes in the center of these just by eyeing this up. And I want this flush here with the bottom of the boat. These rivets will push a little bit of water down. So on a fiberglass boat, you can get away with being perfectly flush. Here I like to drop it at least a 1/16 below that hull, almost even with the rivets. This very leading edge of the transducer here. You can see that right along with the rivets. So in the center of it, we have an angle going here. We got to put this level. So I'm going to eyeball that quick and we can get some holes drilled in it. These tools are real easy. We have marine grade silicone, a couple of drills, 2 1/2-inch wrenches for the, this would be for your mega side imaging. We're also going to put a high frequency transducer on as well, but this is still the same amount of tools. 5/16 driver, 5/32 drill bit. And this is a straight edge, so we can plane along the bottom of the boat. You don't need this. I like to use this just to make sure you get it perfect. There. Start with 1 until I get it perfectly level. And I drill all the way through the block into the hull because I like these to grab into the hull. These screws that Humminbird sends will go into your hull. So you have to pre-drill through that. If you don't drill through the hull, the block will pull away. But I like it, it's a lot, you get a cleaner reading if it's really stiff on there too. So I like to get that screw into the hull. A lot of guys will use a shorter screw, but I don't like to. All right, I'm gonna put a little silicone in here. I put as much as I can in there. The more the merrier. I'll take the 5/16 driver. Just leave that a little loose so I can do all my final adjustments here. Okay, I just stepped back here. You can see I eye up the back of that transom and just keep that flat with the transducer. Okay, that's where I want it. I'm just gonna tip this out of the way so I get my drill in there. And right before I tighten these, I'm gonna show you guys that straight edge trick again so we can double check everything. I think I got it set just right, but we'll check it. So those are loose right now. We're gonna take this with the straight edge on the bottom of the boat. You can see here, I just set this on the boat like that, and if you can ride along a rivet, right on the crown of a rivet, I'm gonna come in, and it looks like my transducer in the center of the transducer is about, oh, I'd say a 1/16 below the hull. There we go. Now we're gonna check this angle again. And I talked about this in the last video, but we're gonna just tell you again. The angle of this is really important. If you can set all this perfect, but if this is parallel with the bottom of your boat or just up a 1/16, as soon as you're on plane, none of this is actually working. So by pushing this downhill a little bit, Hummingbird's Mega Imaging will give you an unbelievable picture. And the more you go down with this angle, you'll actually see the surface. So this, I mean, you can run like this, yeah, it works good in 3 feet of water, but by angling this down, you can see fish in 1 foot of water, 100 feet from the boat, which you can't get with any other transducers. That's why we use these ones. But this, you'll know if you go too far. That's what I tell everybody. You'll know if you go too far if it starts raining and you can't see your screen. Because this will span out to that surface if you have this down too far. And it doesn't affect your depth hardly at all. So you can play with that. Everything's set where you want it now, but just by pushing this down, well, that's what will let you see closer to the surface. So if you have fish right below the surface, you're not gonna miss them. And I get these really tight. I don't like these to move. And just keeping these 2 1/2-inch wrenches in the boat or in your truck, and want to make a little change here or there after fishing, it only takes a second. Just loosen it, move it up or down, and you'll be amazed at the quality of your picture and how shallow you can see.